awesome merchandise selection of your favorite South Florida sports teams. From the Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes, Heat, Marlins, Florida Panthers, and Inter Miami, they've got it all. Celebrate your favorite team and show off your fandom with their beautiful team starter jackets, killer-looking helmets, team jerseys, cool shirts, and more. And if you're out of town or out of state, no worries. Go to caneswear.com and find everything they have on their site. Select what you want, and they will ship your gear to you. Anything over $99 is
Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little dose of reality. Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Rants. I'm your host, Steve Molloy, and I want to thank everybody for joining me today on this fine, beautiful Saturday afternoon. I see Anthony's in the house. I see B. McD's in the house. I appreciate you guys for joining me this afternoon. And for everybody else, as you're coming in, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, wherever you're watching from, subscribe and then share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. And if you are on another platform, Twitch, Facebook, whatever platform it might be, come over here and join the community at on YouTube and enjoy the chat and the conversations back and forth. But I do appreciate all of you for joining today. Boy, man, for me, it's been kind of a rough week. If you all follow the news any, I live here in the Houston, Texas area now. Of course, I'm originally from South Florida, so I'm kind of used to the storms and the hurricanes and things of that nature. But man, we've been hit hard here in Houston the last month and a half. First, it was a tornado. Then this past week, it was a hurricane category 1. Although our grid is very sensitive here in the Houston area, we lost all power for a few days. My son and his wife are still without power. So I've been going back and forth, helping them out a little bit. They've been coming over here and stuff. So we just been, helping each other out. But anyway, enough of me. I'm safe and sound. That's the main thing. Praise the Lord. But I wanted to, Cap, how you doing, brother? Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate you. As you know, you see the title. I want to talk a little bit about Ross's recent business venture and how it's going to impact the Miami Dolphins, or if it's going to impact the Miami Dolphins at all. Is it good? Is it bad? What do you all think? Is it good? Is it bad? Color, I see you, brother. Is it good? Is it bad? Then I would like to get into the stats projections for the 2024 season. We're going to do the quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, all the players that are going to be starting for the Miami Dolphins. And maybe some other time we'll get into the projections of who we think that are going to make this 53-man roster. But for right now, that's what we're going to do. But first off, I wanted to, before we get into the Ross stuff and all that kind of stuff, a few little tidbits that I learned over the past week. I know we're talking about the Tua Tagovailoa contract talks and all that. We're not going to get into that tonight or today, this afternoon. We're not going to get into that. That's enough of that talk. It is what it is. When it happens, right? We got all kinds of, theories of how and why it's not happening and all that good stuff, but we don't know. It's not like we're in the building, right? But one thing I wanted to talk about, and we went over this a couple weeks back on the show. We talked about the questions that I had on the defense, or that we all have on the defense, right? If we had any at all. We went over that, but there was one question mark that I had a little concern with, and that was the cornerback position, and that's Fuller. We brought in Fuller, right? Kendall Fuller, cornerback. From the Washington Commanders. And what I learned, and I know I talked about this before, is he had over 9 touchdowns scored against him for that season, for last season, right? Well, what I learned, and I want to thank Omar Kelly for this, because he actually brought up this stat, and it kind of shocked me. And I was wondering, well, if you look at his PFF grades, right, they're pretty good. He's up there. I forgot what it was, but he's up there. So if you look at that, you say, wow, he's a good cornerback, whatever. His grades are high, whatever. But when you get into the weeds and you really look into it, I will grant you this. Okay, I will grant him this. He's a great run stopper. He gets in the trenches. He's willing to make tackles. Very good against the run. But Kendall Fuller, he allowed 68.8 of the passes thrown to him last year. 68% were completed. 68%. That's not good. And he allowed 55 receptions for 651 yards and the 9 touchdowns, as we've discussed in the past. And he, according to Pro Football Reference, he allowed a 120, listen to this, 120.4 passer rating when he was targeted. 120. So quarterbacks were almost perfect when they targeted him, when they threw the ball his way. Now, we don't know the whole story behind it. I don't keep up with the Washington Commanders like some folks do. I'm not a Commander fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. So I really didn't look into that. Folks, is he really an upgrade? Is he really? And are these quarterbacks going to target him this year, right? I know we're going to have Ramsey running around and moving in the defense. At least that's what's projected, right? That's what we think. But to be honest, to be fair to him, Xavier Howard allowed 62.9% of passes thrown to him completed last year, right? And he allowed 39 of 62 passes to be completed for 419 yards, but he only allowed 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown. Okay? So, I don't know. Is he really an upgrade? Let's see. Anthony said, Steve, when you say 60% were completed against them, does that mean he allowed them to score on him, or he just let them gain yards on him? No, both. He allowed them to he allowed them to catch the ball, right? Just like when a quarterback throws and the guy catches the ball, the percentage of passes, his passing percentage. Same thing with the cornerbacks. Quarterbacks targeted him. They threw the ball. They caught it. 68% and 120 quarterback rating. Quarterbacks had 120, Anthony, against him. That's not good. That's not good. Oh, wow. Dr. Ruth passed away. Wow. I didn't know that. Wow. Thanks, caller. I didn't know that. So prayers to Dr. Rue's family for sure. Anyway, yeah. B McD. I agree. I agree. That's why I said, I didn't keep up with the Commanders, so we really don't know, but it's still on paper. And as far as PFF goes, and it doesn't look good, right? But of course, we got to watch the film. We got to see, watch the games and all that. And that's something I haven't done. Maybe y'all have done that. So I still have concerns at that cornerback position. I really do. But anyway, let's get into the Ross thing. And I have another little tidbit. Let's hold off on the Ross thing. I have another little tidbit as well that I learned. You know how we're always talking about, our folks are always talking about the Miami Dolphins, or even not just the Miami Dolphins, but other teams, right? Teams draft quarterbacks, right? You keep drafting a quarterback until you find the right guy, right? Well, a lot of folks will say, well, that's a crapshoot. Not every quarterback turns out to be, a Tom Brady or Drew Brees or any of those elite quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and stuff, right? They don't, right? But you got to keep trying, folks. Okay, it is a crapshoot. So you're just gonna roll the dice once and that's it, and hope that person that you drafted is going to develop into an elite player or a really good quarterback. You got to keep throwing that dice, man. You got to keep throwing that dice, and the odds are going to get, they're going to get better for you. They're going to get better for you, right? You keep throwing the dice. Well, do you realize the Miami Dolphins, and I'll go just as far back as 1999, right? Or the 2000 season, 2020, we'll go back 24 years since Dan Marino retired. Do you know how many quarterbacks we drafted since the Dan Marino era? In the first round now. I'm not saying third, fourth, seventh round quarterbacks like Skylar Thompson. Legit, top of the line, supposed to be NFL ready quality quarterbacks. You know how many we've drafted? How many of y'all know how many quarterbacks we drafted since Dan Marino era? 2. Close, Anthony. 2. 2! In 24 years, we've drafted 2 quarterbacks in the first round. Tua and Ryan Tannehill. That's it. Everybody else in between have been journeymen. We've gone after, we've traded for journeyman quarterbacks, our free agents. Okay? In 58 years, you know how many quarterbacks we drafted? Now, the organization, this isn't on Greer, right? You know how many? 4. In 58 years, the Miami Dolphins have drafted 4 first-round quarterbacks, whether that be a 7th, 8th, first-round pick, 10th, 15th, whatever. But they've only picked 4 in 58 years. That isn't a good recipe for finding your guy, is it? A good quarterback? Of course, we had Dan Marino. We thought Ryan Tannehill. Well, Dan Marino, he played a long time, right? And then, we've had Ryan Tannehill, and then you had Tua Tagovailoa, right? Well, anyway, we've done well. We've gotten free agents. We've gotten journeymen. We thought we're going to pan out, and they never did, right? The Jay Cutlers, the Cleo Lemons, the what was it? Tyler Thigpens, those kind of guys. We had a lot of those kind of guys. Brian Greasy. So anyway, so we color, I believe it was Bob Greasy, right? Was one. Then we had Norton. Is it Ken Norton? That he was the first quarterback we drafted, Ken Norton, and then it was Bob Greasy, Dan Marino, Ryan Tannehill, and then of course Tua Tagovailoa, if you want to count him. So 5. and 58 since 1966, I guess 66. It might be longer. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not good at math. You guys add that up. But anyway, it's not a good number. Okay. So, what do you expect? What do you expect if we don't draft a quarterback? And I know there are some years there we didn't have a first round pick. I get it. I got that. But the bottom line is we haven't done well in the quarterback area since Dan Marino. So anyway, yeah, that's true, Anthony. We could have had Matt Bryan. We could have had Joe Burrow. So could have had Herbert. There's a lot we can say who we could have had, but we don't. We failed, right? Now, I'm not saying Tua's a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback, and at times I've even said it's come out of my mouth. It has, that he has played at an elite level. I'm not saying he's elite. I'm saying he played at elite level, but not very consistent, right? That's what we need out of him. But enough of Tua and enough of the quarterback situation. That was just a tidbit that kind of shocked me as well. I was like, wow, that if you think about it, that's not good. I hope that changes in the near future. And the reason why I say that is it brings me to my next topic, Stepen Ross. So there was an article out about Stepen Ross. Perhaps some of you saw it. Let's see if I can find it on here. I had it here, and I'm going to find that for you right now, guys. Just give me some time, and I think I will have it. Yeah. So basically the headline, and this is from Dolphin Nation, but you can probably find it in other news as well. Stepen Ross makes massive business decision that will impact the Miami Dolphins. Okay. Again, I don't know if it's going to or not, right? I don't know if that's good or bad. Is that okay? But anyway, it says Miami Dolphins owner Stepen Ross is making a major business decision. He's 84 years old, by the way. Ross is stepping down as the chairman of Related Companies, a global real estate development firm that he founded over 50 years ago. Over 50 years ago. In doing so, he'll return his attention to a different project. He will lead his own development firm, right? More hands-on, known as Related Ross, and focus on the South Florida market. According to the Wall Street Journal, Ross also plans to focus more on his time on the Dolphins and, of course, Formula One. Here's another tidbit. Formula One, in 1 year, or that one race, right, down there in Miami, brought in more revenue than the whole Miami Dolphins football team did last year. So he's coming down here. I know that he has a house in, I think it's West Palm Beach. 11,000 square foot home down there. He's going to focus more of his time down in the South Florida market. He's done a lot down there thus far, right? He's brought the stadium. He's brought the Formula One. We got the Dolphins. And by the way, he's been the owner since 2009. And since that time, we haven't won a Super Bowl, right? Or playoffs. So I don't know. Is this a good thing, guys? Color, Raphael. Hi, Raphael. Thanks for joining, man. Anthony, all you guys in the chat, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is it going to be a Jerry Jones? Is it going to be like a Jerry Jones effect with the Dallas Cowboys? Is he going to be on the field? Is he going to be in the box every game? Is he going to be in that training facility on Chris Greer putting fire under his butt and Mike McDaniel? How's that going to change the dynamic of the Dolphins organization, front office? He's going to be right there. He's going to be watching those guys with, so I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing, excuse me, or if that's going to be a bad thing. All I know is the Miami Dolphins organization are probably not going to feel very comfortable. They're going to be on their toes, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know if how that's going to even. I don't even know if he has any say on the Tua decision, the contract decision, right? Maybe he does. Maybe that's the holdup. Maybe he's, you know, he wants a Super Bowl. He's 84 years old, and I'm sure he sees what we see. Is not, crumbling in the last half of the season, right? For 4 years now. Okay, we've done it not even just for 4 years. It's been a long time. Miami Dolphins do the same thing for years, 20 something years, right? We blew playoffs. We blew going to the playoffs, losing, games we had to win to get to the playoffs or the number 1 seed and things of that nature in the past. Cap says the infrastructure bill that passed 2 years ago has affected Florida, no doubt. What I'm trying to say is we don't need no more construction, but it's coming anyway. So Ross will make more money. Fact. Yes, good point, Cap. And I was talking, when I was down in South Florida a few weeks back, I was talking to my my nephew who used to own several businesses down there. And in the area that he lives, man, there was a lot of construction going on, roads and buildings and things of that nature. So I get what you're saying, and it was a mess. I mean, traffic and more people, and I get you. So yeah, that's he's definitely going to make more money, I think, and he's going to be more hands on. Let's see, Anthony, what do you have to say, Anthony? Steve, I believe this doesn't matter. I don't think Ross cares about winning a Super Bowl. He says he does, but I don't think he does. He cares more about attracting his billionaire buddies. Oh man, I don't know, Anthony. I mean, that's a good point. That's a fair point. Um, I want to believe that he wants a Super Bowl. I really do. And yes, he's a billionaire. Of course, money is on his mind, right? I mean, you're not going to become a billionaire being a Mr. Nice Guy, right? You got to be pretty shrewd in business and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a good point, Anthony. I don't know. I don't know. I-95 is getting widened and residents will be affected. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, especially I-95. Oh my gosh. That's one of the main highways going up, up and down South Florida to the north, South and North Florida, all the way up to Northeast, right? So yeah, it's definitely going to affect the residents for sure. But so what do you all think? You think it's a bad thing that he's going to be more hands-on with the Miami Dolphins organization and Formula One, or you think it's a good thing? Something to think about, guys. It really is. I like Stepen Ross. Now, the Miami Dolphins training facilities has been voted the number 1 best place to work, right? Best place for employment because of the cushy country club atmosphere that he's provided for the players. Maybe him being down there, maybe he can see, well, man, did I create this monster? Is this why we're not winning? Because these guys are too relaxed and they're not being held accountable, and maybe the coach is a little too lackadaisical, not firm, not as I said, I always call him a social worker. But I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll definitely see. All right, guys. I'm gonna get into the what I did. I did this last year, and I did this this year as well. I projected the Miami Dolphins stats for 2024, individual player stats, that is. Started with the offense. And so I'm going to go over that. And I would like you to help me out. Okay, so I'll go over that, and let me bring this up. Just give me a second here, and we can go over this together. Help me out, guys. Tell me what you all think, and let me see if I can find it now. Here we go. This is the first one I'm bringing up, okay, guys? So we're going to go over this one by one, and you tell me what you think. Bam. All right, so starting with the Tua Tagovailoa, a quarterback. You see his stats there for 2023 and what I projected for 2024. Now, these are all projected that he's going to play 17 games. In fact, all the individual players here on this stat sheet will have, this is projected for 17 games. So we're going to say he's going to play 17 games. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know. I know last year I projected he was going to play 17 games, and he did. Anyway, so for 2000, let me go back to your comments so we can do this together, guys. All right. So you see last year. All right, this year, 2024, projected 17 games. He's going to have a little less completions. He's going to throw a few less passes, I believe. He's going to have about the same little less, 68% completion rating. He's going to throw about the same, 4,600 yards. He's going to have 35 touchdowns, but he's going to have 15 interceptions this year. What do you guys think? You think he's going to throw more than 35 or under? More than 35 touchdowns or under? What's your opinion? I'll give you a few minutes on that. And 15 interceptions. So would you say under 35 or over 35 touchdowns for Tua Tagovailoa this year? Under. Color says under. Raphael says under. B. McD says under. Wow. Wow. Okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough. How about interceptions, guys? You think he's going to throw more interceptions or less interceptions, or is that about right? More than 15 or under 15 interceptions for the 2024 season? Color says more. All right, 15. B. McD says 15. Raphael says more. But over in fumbles. Wow. What do you have? 13 fumbles last year, I think it was. Something like that. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining, brother. Or, I'm sorry, female. You're female, Chris. I'm sorry. I called you a sir. Thank you for joining, Chris. She says under. Aladino says, oh, hey, how's it going, Aladino? Appreciate you for joining, brother. All right. All right. So everybody says, I see a lot of unders. I see some over. Okay, good. Good stuff. All right. Now we're going to, yeah, that's right, Raphael. 13 fumbles, but he lost 6. Okay. Hopefully he improves this year on that. All right, let's go to the wide receivers. Tyreek Hill. You see his 2023 stats. He did miss a game. He had 119 receptions, all right, 1,799 yards. He had 13 touchdowns. Okay. Hey, Ender, haven't seen you for a while, man. Thanks for joining, Ender. Good to see you, man. Hey, if you all are new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe and share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. So if you're new to the channel or you're coming over from Twitch or Twitter or any of those platforms, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. You're right here in the community here, so I appreciate you for joining. So Tyreek Hill, those were his numbers. 2024, I projected him. Now, remember, all of these are going to be 17 games, so I won't say that anymore, but I projected all of these players at 17 games they're going to play. All right. I believe he's going to have 100 receptions, 1,500 yards, and he's going to get 9 touchdowns. Let's start with let's say the yards. Do you think he's going to be over in yards or under in yards? Over in yards or under for Tyreek Hill? Under in yards or over? Color says over. Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. Raphael says over. Okay. Just under 1,300, B. McD says. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Yep. Yep. All right. How about touchdowns? Is he going to have over 9 or under 9, or is that about right as far as touchdowns go for Tyreek? What do you guys think? Mm-hmm. Under. Aladino says over. Okay. Fair. 8. Okay. 8 for him. Caller says 8. B. McD says under. Raphael says 9. So, okay. I'm right on track there. 9. Okay. Good. Good stuff. Let's see. What do I want to do here? Under receiving. Okay. Under yards, over TDs. Oh, okay. So you don't think he's going to be targeted as much this year, Chris? Yeah, and that's what I was kind of foreseeing too. I know he had 170 targets last year, I think, or maybe a little over. I think this year, I think with the addition of Odell Beckham and Jonnu Smith, the tight end, I think some more passes are going to go towards those guys. That's just my opinion. I don't know. B. McD, you wanted to see what you said here. B. McD. B. McD says, I think all their stats will go down with the addition of Jonnu, Malik, and OBJ. Yeah, and that's a good point, brother. That's definitely a good point. All right, so let's go. Let's move on to Jaylen Waddle, right? So you see the 2023 stats. Now, he only played 14 games. So this is based on 14 games. He was a little banged up, excuse me, last year. Well, they both were banged up a little and continued to play. I say he had 72 receptions last year, 1,014 yards, 4 touchdowns for last year. My projection, let me see what color says here. What does color have to say? I think the TDs will go down because we will we will probably still game plan Tyreek as our mover, but the red zone TDs will be more distributed. Yeah, man, that's a good point. Maybe with the addition of Odell Beckham and Jonnu, or you think it's just naturally they're just going to distribute the ball more? You think they're going to change up a little bit than they did last year? All right, Jaylen Waddle. So, I'd say 17 receptions. So he's not going to go too much. He's not going to go too far down in his receptions. 1,000 yards and 6. I think he's going to get 6 touchdowns this year. Because I believe he'll play 17 games. So, what do you all think? You think he's going to? You think he's going to stay about the same? He's going to be a little under or over what I just projected as far as receptions go and yards? Under, over, and TDs. You think he's going to be under or over in TDs? So we'll start with the receptions. Under, over for receptions for Jaylen Waddle. Same, yeah. Yeah, and that's what I figured too. And remember, that was only 14 games too that he played in 2023. So that's 17 games, 70 receptions. I think that's about on par of what he's going to get. Yeah. Yeah, Aladino agrees with me. Same. Raphael says over. Okay. All right. Over. Possibly over. Yeah. How about touchdowns, everybody? You think he's going to be under or over his 6 touchdowns? Oh, wow. Chris says 85 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 7 TDs. That would be awesome, man. That would be awesome, Chris. I'd love to see that from Jaylen Waddle. I like Jaylen Waddle. Color, you said I'll say over 70 because he had exactly 72 in 2022. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at too, Color. Yep. Kenna! What? Kenna's in the house. You're late. No problem, man. You made it. That's what counts, brother. Appreciate seeing you here, man. Color says over 6 TDs. All right, that's fair. Yep. Aladino, yeah, 8 touchdowns, man. I'd love to see that for sure, Aladino. All right. Now we got the man of the hour that we've all been waiting for, that we acquired in the offseason, the one and only Odell Beckham Jr. Well, when he played with the Ravens, he played 14 games last year. He had 35 receptions, 565 yards, and only 3 touchdowns with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. He's not the same Odell Beckham that we all know, but he's still a good route runner, still has good hands. Maybe he's lost a little bit in his speed, right? I have him playing 17 games for Miami. I have him catching 40 receptions, have him at 40 receptions, 600 yards, and about 5 touchdowns. So kind of the same production that he had in Baltimore, but how much more of an impact or an effect will he have in this offense with the Miami Dolphins, right? So now teams are looking at Tyreek, Waddle, and just the name Beckham, right? Might, defenses might look at that a little bit more, the defensive coordinators, that is, and say, he's got Beckham. He's still got the hands. He's still a route runner. He's still a savvy vet. So that might, relieve a little pressure from Tyreek Hill and Waddle, right? So you think Beckham will have more receptions or less receptions? Will that be over or under that 40, or is that about right? Yeah, big B McD. I believe he will be a red zone threat for sure, for sure. You think he's going to have under or over in receptions? Yeah, Raphael, he is. He's going to be hard. So that's why I basically projected him having kind of a similar year that he had with Baltimore. So 40 fewer targets for Hill with 50% going to Waddle. Okay, Chris. Wow. 40 fewer targets and 50 more going to Waddle. Okay. I don't know about that. I think the ball will be distributed, or at least I'm hoping that the ball will be distributed more next year. I don't think they're all going to be to Waddle because I think defensive coordinators have got their number, has got Waddle's number. Because remember, this is the third year in this offense, and what have they done every year? Basically, kind of the same style of our same system, right? So I see them more spreading the ball more out and maybe to Odell and maybe the tight end as well, Jonnu and Smythe. Let's not count out Smythe. He had a 70% catch rate last year. So he's got some sure hands. 5 TDs, 38 receptions, Aladino says. Caller says 5 and 42. All right, so we're kind of on the same ballpark. We're kind of in the same ballpark. Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, we're going to go to the let me get myself back in here. See if I can get myself back on the screen here. If I remember how to do this correctly. Here we go. Bam, I'm back. Now you can see my ugly face. So that's the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. So it looks like I'm kind of on track. We're kind of, seeing eye to eye here, us guys and gals. So let's go to the next chart that I'm going to put up, and we'll go over that as well. That's going to be your tight ends, and I believe we're going to cover the running backs on this one, but let's check it out. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the tight ends. So we got Durham Smythe. 2023, he played 16 games. He had 35 receptions, 366 yards. Pretty good year for him. But he had 0 touchdowns. Zero as in zero. In 2024, I project he will have 20 receptions because I think some of those are going to be distributed to Jonnu Smith. He's going to have 20 receptions, 200 yards, but he's going to score a touchdown. So how do you all see that for next year for Durham Smythe? Do you think he will have under or over receptions? You think Smythe will have under or over as far as receptions go? Put that in the chat, please. Over. Okay. Over receptions. Okay. Rafael and Aladino think he's going to have about 20 as I projected. All right. How about you, Chris? I know you're in here. Kenna? What do you think? Rafael? Yep. Under? Okay. Fair. Okay. How about because he'll catch 80% of 30 targets, what's that come to? Okay. So what, 20, 25, something like that? Yeah, maybe somewhere in there. If the tight end is used, this let's see. Kenna made a great comment. Let's see what he has to say. Whoop. Kenna says under. Okay. And what did he say? If the tight end is used this year, that means Tua has moved on to the next phase of this system. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, Kenna. I mean, that's what I want to see, man. I want to see him go, I'm not saying maybe go to the next level, but let's just play better than let's just play better than we have been as far as looking out for the tight end and other receivers that were left open, because he left a lot of meat on the bones last year. There was a lot of receivers that he could have thrown to. They were wide open, and instead he made the wrong choice. Now, I don't know if that was the first read or not. I'm not going to get into that, but he made the wrong choice, a wrong decision. So I'm hoping he makes better decisions this year, and he does find that tight end or that running back or whatnot. So Kenna says under. Okay. TDs, we're not even going to discuss that. One TD, is it really going to make a difference? I might if it was a winning touchdown throw, right, to him. But anyway, let's go to Jonnu Smith, who played in Atlanta, and Color made a great comment as well. I'm hoping Jonnu draws that out of him. Otherwise, Smythe will be outperforming Jonnu, which would be a huge problem. Yes, yeah, I agree. We got this guy in here, right? Mike McDaniel got Odell Beckham in here and Jonnu Smith and what's the other guy? Fortson or whatever. And Jaylen Wright. So I guess McDaniel believed that maybe this will, with the additions of those players, that this will change the dynamic of the offense a little bit, right? Maybe he did say he was going to utilize the tight end more this year. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Kenna says, third year in a system and haven't moved on to phase 2 in this system. Mike said it himself. So are we really expecting big things? Am I expecting big things? Hell yeah. I'm expecting big things. In his third year in this system, Mike McDaniel in the offense, third year in this system, hell yeah. I mean, think about it. The Miami Dolphins were number 1 offense last year. They had the number 7th ranked running team in football. So, yes, I'm expecting them to be right up there again this year. I really am. I really am. All right. Let's go to Jonnu. So last year he had 50 receptions with the Atlanta Falcons, 582 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns. That was his best year yet. He had a really good year last year for him. Now, in 2024, this is what I project. I project he's going to take a few of Smythe's receptions that he had last year, and maybe another 4 or 5 of Hill's receptions, maybe 1 or 2 of Waddle's, something like that. But anyway, he's going to have 30 receptions, 350 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. So that will be 4 touchdowns for our tight ends next year. More than we had the previous year, right? Or this year. More than we had last year. So do you all think he's going to have under or over 30 receptions? Jonnu. Color says 35 or 25. Okay. Anybody else? Chime in. Don't be shy. Color says over. Okay. So you're thinking 35, Color. Or maybe more. Cap. I'm glad you're in here, brother. Still in here. You say over. Okay. Fair enough. And you might be right. You might be right. I'm hoping you're right. But I was a little conservative here on Jonnu because I'm not really familiar with him. But just going by his stats and the history, that's what I project. But Aladino says over and 25 for Smythe. Okay. Cool. So you think they're going to utilize the tight ends more this year? Color. Kenna says over. All right. Raphael says 40. All right. I love to see that. Yeah, for sure. Jonnu's definitely a better blocking tight end. No doubt about that. And you see, that's what I like about that signing is Jonnu can block, but he's good after the catch kind of guy. So you don't have to throw, you know, intermediate or long ball to him. You can throw, 5-10 yard. And I don't know if that you would call that intermediate, but short passes to him, and he can make something out of that. He's not a slow tight end either. He's pretty fast. I think he's about the same speed as a Gesicki, except he has more wiggle, and I believe, um, like you said, a better blocker. So he's a better all around tight end. So I don't know if he's going to take that spot from Durham Smythe. What do you all think? You think he's going to be the number one receiver at the start of the season, or do you think Smythe is going to be the guy? Smythe is an average blocker. He's serviceable, I guess, solid, but not a great blocker. He only has athleticism and catch range over Smythe. Okay, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I think so because of that wiggle you mentioned. Yeah, true. Yeah, you agree with me there. Yeah, yards after the catch too. Yeah, for sure, Color, for sure. Raphael believes he will be the starting tight end, and that's not far fetched at all, Raphael. I can see that. I can see that. It's going to be interesting to see what he does in preseason, or if he even. I guess he'll play. He'll probably play in preseason. I'm sure limited snaps, but I think they know what they got in him. I think they've seen. McDaniel's seen enough of him to know what they have in him. He's a veteran, and you know how our organization is, or our team is with veterans, right? They rest them a lot. Yeah, I agree, Raphael. He should be our red zone target as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all making some good comments. Appreciate that. Yep, yep. That's true, Color. Known to do his job and catch at a high rate. Yeah. All right, let's go to the running backs. The running backs, ladies and gentlemen. The running backs. That's going to be an interesting group of players, right? Let me go back on the screen here real quick, and then we'll go back to this chart. I'm going to put my ugly mug back on the screen here if I can find it. Here we go. So, running backs. This is something we can talk about a little bit. Running backs. Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Chris Brooks, Alec Ingold we can throw in there, but he's our primary fullback, our only fullback. Who's the other guy? Who am I missing? Oh, Samad Ahmed, right? So, and then we got Jaylen Wright. We drafted Jaylen Wright. Okay. Who do you all think are going to be our starting running back duo, or at the start of the season? I mean, I think it's obvious Raheem and Achane, but who's going to be the lead back? Who's going to have the most get the most carries? Let's put it that way. Who's going to get the most carries? Achane or Mostert? Who do you think is going to get the most carries this year? At the start of the season. I mean, that could change, but it's going to be interesting. We're running out of receptions if we have Tua under 35 TDs. I think he's going to be right at about 30, 35 TDs. I think that's a fair projection. Mostert and Achane, of course, are going to start. Who do you think is going to have the most? Who's going to get the most carries? That's what I want to know. 31? Okay, Mostert. Mostert will start. Aladino says Mostert will start, but Achane will take over. Okay. Hot take. Wright is running back by week 8. Whoa. That is a hot take. That is a hot take. I don't see it. And I'll tell you why. Kenneth says depends on who's healthy, but I say Achan if he put on some weight. Yeah, he did put on some weight, Kenna, and I've stood right next to Achan, and he for a running back, he is a small guy, But if he put on weight this year, 10, 15 pounds, maybe that helps. But I would say, getting back to my point about, forgot what it was now. I think it was, I was going to make a point about Jaylen Wright. Yeah. So Jaylen Wright, right? In fact, all of our running backs, okay, all of our running backs are basically the same style, right? Mostert probably out of all the running backs has the better vision. Okay, Achan has he's the quickest, better speed. He's a one cut guy. Mostert, one cut guy. Chris Brooks, he's a little bigger guy. We've got a small sample size of him, so I can't say too much about him, right? I think he runs more aggressively, maybe with a little more power. Then maybe he's the oddball of the group, right? Jeff Wilson, maybe he's a little more powerful than Mostert in Achan, but most of our running backs are mostly similar. We don't have a power back, okay? And let me project right now. I think it's going to be Mostert, Achan, Chris Brooks, and of course Alec Ingold and Jaylen Wright. Those are going to be our running back group. That's what I project. Okay. I don't think Jeff Wilson's going to stay. I think they're going to let him go as much as Mike McDaniel likes him. And the reason why I say that, Wright is built like Marshawn Lynch and only gives up 5 pounds to him. That's Denny's cheeseburger. Yeah. Well, we'll see, Color. We'll see how powerful and how aggressive of a runner that Wright is. But we need a power back. We need a Derrick Henry, man, because Jaylen Wright in college did not play against a lot of heavy boxes. He played against light boxes. Watch the film. He played against a lot of light boxes. Okay? A lot of teams, a lot of good defenses and coordinators play heavy boxes against the Miami Dolphins. That's why you don't see Miami running a lot on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2. You see him throwing a lot. Because we don't have a running back that can power through or bull his way through the pile. Even if the blocking isn't well, Derrick Henry can get us 2 or 3 yards. I don't know. I don't know if Wright can do that. I don't know if Brooks can do that. I'm hoping to see that, but I don't know if they can do that. All right. Kenneth says Wright is. Hey, I'm going to put this comment up. Kenneth says Wright is the most balanced one out of all power and speed at young age. Achan all speed. Yeah. I definitely agree. Achan is all speed, one cut back, but so is Jaylen Wright. Just a one cut back, and he's fast. He runs a 4.340. He's fast. We got fast running backs, right? With the exception of Wilson and Ahmed and Chris Brooks. Well, Alec Ingles a fullback. I won't count him in that mix, but they're speed backs, And as I said, Mostert has the best vision out of all of them, and Achan is probably the most. I would say he's probably, although I wouldn't count Mostert out, the most versatile, right? I think Achan is going to catch a lot of balls this year. I think they're going to get him in open space this year, and they're going to utilize him not so much in the running game. He might be, and we'll get to that. I have the stats there. I think that he'll probably get about the same amount of carries based on a 17-game season. But I think they're going to throw the ball to him a lot because in the OTAs, and he even mentioned himself, he was working with Tyreek and all the wide receiver group, and he was getting some tidbits from them because I think they're going to utilize him more as a receiver and a back. So I'm hoping that works out because Achane has the potential to be a really, really good back in this league. If he can stay healthy. If is a big if. So anyway, that's my take on the running back room. But let's go back to the stats again. Okay. And where we left off. So we got Mostert. I got him. Let's see. Last year, excuse me, he played 15 games. He had 209 carries, 1,012 yards, and an astonishing 18 touchdowns. Is he going to get 18 touchdowns again this year, guys? Seriously, really? I don't think so. Actually, he had 21 if you count the receiving touchdowns. Okay. For a 30-something-year-old guy, he had an outstanding year. In fact, that was his best year he's had in his career. But I'm not going to expect him to get 18 touchdowns this year. So what I did is I have him playing 17 games. Again, projected 17 games. I have him at 175 carries. He's going to get a little less load because you can throw Wright in there. Maybe Wright gets a few more carries, right, from him. 840 yards and 7 touchdowns. Is Mostert going to have more yards or less yards? Let's start with that. Is Mostert going to have more yards or less yards? Ken, I agree with you. Wright should get the early start as high as we drafted him, but our running back room is stacked, and they're going into their second and third year, these guys, right? Some of them are third year, right? And so they know the system well, and I think they're going to break him in slowly but surely. In fact, I think he might, if it works out, he might be the replacement for Mostert. I can see that. So what do you all think? You think Mostert's going to have more or less yards? That's a good question, Raphael. I don't know if Jay Wright gets hurt or not. Does he have a history of getting hurt? Do you know something I don't know? I don't know. You say under 840 yards. Okay, color. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Yeah, Mostert is a team player, no doubt. I love Mostert. I do. And he has really good vision of and he does run probably with a little more power than Achane. Not saying he's a power back. I'm just saying he runs a little more power than Achane. Achane can break some tackles though. He's a little more elusive than Mostert, I think. Most will be back on a pitch count. Yeah. That's why I got him at about 175 carries. Chris says less. Okay, ma'am. Aladino says less as well. Wow. Interesting. Will likely prefer Mostert healthy for late season. Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. And it would be nice if they do, as Kenna said, they incorporate Jaylen Wright in there. Maybe on, if we're winning, we're big in some games, or maybe if we got a really good record late in the season, we can rest those running backs and have Wright take the load with Chris Brooks. I would love to see that, right? I mean, let's see what happens, right? We'll see. All right. Touchdowns, guys. Here's the one I've been waiting for. How many of you believe Mostert is going to have 18 touchdowns again this year? How many of you really believe that in their heart? Be honest with yourselves. How many believe Mostert is going to have 18 touchdowns again this year? I know there's some people who believe it. And that's fine. if they want to believe it, because I will be happy as a lark if he does. No way. Color says no way. Yeah, that's what I say, Color. No freaking way, man. Raphael, not me. Aladina says under. Okay, under. So 17, Aladino. B. McD says, you got to believe Peter Pan. Yeah, I don't see him doing it either, guys. I really don't. I think seven is a fair number. You think seven's fair? You think that's spot on, or you think maybe a couple more? I don't think he's going to be under. I believe he's going to get about 7. If he gets 8 or 9, I wouldn't be surprised, but I say 7. Yeah, Color says 7. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Aladino. All right. Let's go down to Stefan A-Chan, formerly known as A-Chain, but it's A-Chan. He corrected us. So he played 11 games. See, that's the biggest concern I have with A-Chan. Okay. He got hurt his first year in the league. He only got to play 11 games. All right. He missed 6 games, guys. 6. Now, if he can produce like he did last year, 103 carries, 800 yards, and whooping 8 touchdowns, I'll be happy with that. Okay. But I'd still like to see him healthy and see what he can do when healthy. That would be very interesting to see what he does when healthy. Now, he had 14 TDs. He is the RZ running back, red zone running back. Oh, Chris says 14 TDs. Wow. A-Chan and Wright early in the year and bring in 31 mid-season. I don't think they're going to do that, Rakenna. That would be cool, but I don't think McDaniel's going to do that. He's going to use the guys that he knows are for sure bets that are familiar with his system. It all depends on Wright, man. Maybe, it all depends on Wright, how quick he picks up the system and the pro and NFL football, right? Some folks come to the NFL and they can't go to that next level. Tim Tebow. I know there's others, but I'm just an example. Who are we at? Oh, A-Chain. You think A-Chain is going to have more than 800 yards or less? Over or under for A-Chan? Over or under 800 yards for A-Chan? Color says under. Kenna says under. Oh, come on, guys. You got to be more optimistic than that. I'm just kidding. Under. Okay. All right. Under. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, guys. I'm sorry. I messed up. I gave you the yards and the touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. Now, this is what I projected for 2024, okay? I projected him to have basically 82 more carries than he had last year because I project him to play 17 games, right? 185 carries, 999 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, remember, these are his running back stats. I told you he would probably be more. He would be used more as a receiver as well. So we'll get to that as well. I have that coming up too. But this is what I project him in his rushing numbers, okay, as a running back. Yeah, I agree, Aladino. We'll get to that. But I'm talking about his carries right now and his yards as a running back, as a rusher. Under 999 yards. Okay. Gotcha. Chris says under. Okay. Anybody else say under 999 yards or over 999 yards? Color says under. Okay. Remember, we were the number 7th NFL running back, best running back last year. I mean, best number 7 in ranking last year, basically is what I'm saying. Number 7 in ranking as in the NFL. So we had a good running, and that's the thing. Folks don't forget, we had a very good running game until late in the season when we played a good defenses and defensive coordinators and in the playoffs, right? These running backs that we had last year are not built. Of course, we were missing Chris Brooks and stuff, but they weren't built for running in the cold. And we're going to have a lot of cold games this year, guys. Okay? We're going to be playing in the tundra. We're going to be playing in Cleveland, Jets, Buffalo. We're going to have a Seattle. We're going to have a lot of cold games this year. All right. We're going to move on, and we're going to go to, and this is going to be the last of it on the stats projections for the offense. We're going to go to receiving now for the running backs. Okay. Raheem Mostert last year had 25 receptions, 175 yards, and 3 TDs. All right. My projection for 2024, 32 receptions. Remember, this is based on 17 games. 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. Will Raheem have more receptions or less receptions next year or this year? I keep saying next year, this year. Will Raheem have more or less, under or over? Yeah, that's true, color. Thank you for reminding me that. Yeah, it is going to be warmer at that time that we play him. Correct. Let's see. What does Chris say? Chris says Achane equals 1,500 yards plus total yards. Okay. All right. All right. Under. Caller says under. Kenneth says under. Raphael says under. Aladino says same. Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. Moving on to our favorite back, right? Isn't Achane our favorite back, or is it Mostert? I like them both, but I do favor Achane only because he's from the Houston area, and that's where I'm living. He went to local high school here and everything. Anyway, Devon Achane, last year, 27 receptions, 197 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Okay. And what I project for 2024, remember I told you they're going to utilize him a little more in the receiving as a receiver. I say 48 receptions, 432 yards, and he's going to score another 3 touchdowns. How many believe Achane is going to have more receptions than 48, or do you think he's going to have under? Latino Matt says I'm a homer. Okay. Whoa. Chris says Achane's going to have 50 or more. Aladino Mass says over. Anybody else say over? Who else says over? Anybody else? Cap for life says over. Color says under. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Raphael says under. Hey guys, make sure you hit that like button. And don't forget, subscribe if you're new to the channel and share with your friends and your families and your neighbors. What does Kenna say? Kenna says, I think the running game will be by committee, so under. Not going to be big, but one player. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a committee, Kenna. I definitely believe that. That's how we've been doing it, right? With McDaniel's system. By committee. Let's just hope that committee can stay healthy. Because Jeff Wilson was hurt, Mostert was hurt, Achane was hurt. I think Ahmed was hurt at one time last year. Chris Brooks was hurt. See what I mean? We need a big power back. Somebody that can stay healthy, like a Derrick Henry. Well, I think he was even hurt, but you get my point. We need some big backs. We don't got them. We're all relying on this speed, and I love speed, but speed can be controlled, especially on cold teams outdoors in the cold. Those running backs are not going to do very well. We're not built for that. They're not physical enough. Our whole team is not built physically. We need physicality, and that's something that's lacking in this team. Until we fix that, we're still going to get dominated by Buffalo, Philly, Kansas City, all the big physical teams. We're still going to get beat by these teams. That's just my 2 cents, guys. Color says, simply because he doesn't need that many, he houses almost everything he touches. Okay. Gotcha, Color. All right. So we've gone over Achane. Let's go to the last but not least, Alec Ingold. As you notice, I did not have Alec Ingold in the rushing stat category because he doesn't get enough carries for me even to put in that category. But he is utilized as a blocker and he's utilized as a receiver. I think he will have, this is what he had last year. Whoa, somebody messed up. My bad. That's not right. I should have had receiving in there for Alec Ingold, but they have, it looks like they put in, I don't know why they put that in there. But anyway, that's messed up. Omit that, guys. We won't go over Alec Ingold, but I'll just say now he's probably going to have about 14, 15 catches, maybe 150 yards, maybe a touchdown. That's what I think. But he is a good blocker, Aladino. I agree 100% on that. So let's go back to the screen here. Put me back on there. So that's what I projected for the offense for 2024. And I appreciate you guys. We went one by one with each player on offense that I felt were the starters. You were good sports. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you for joining the show on this Saturday afternoon. We'll try to have another show, or I should have another show on Tuesday evening at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Be 6:30 Central Time here. But I'm going to try to put together maybe the defensive stats, what we can project for that, and we can go over those too. Maybe I'll save that on for Saturdays. When it's kind of it's a boring Saturday, y'all don't have anything to do. Maybe I'll do it on a Saturday. We'll see what we got going on Tuesday night. I'll put something together. I did want to talk about the O-line again. I did want to talk about the overall rankings that the NFL had us. I think it was Pro Football Focus had us ranked. We'll go by we'll go by O-line, running backs, quarterback, wide receivers, tight end. So each individual position, we'll go over the rankings. What Pro Football Focus had us ranked. I thought it was pretty good, and we'll talk a little bit about the O-line as well, because I know a lot of folks. There's a difference of opinion on the O-lines. You got the old school, then you got the new school. I'm kind of in the middle still. I believe it all starts in the trenches, but then there's some folks that believe that the NFL has evolved, and the trenches are important, of course, especially in the playoffs, things of that nature. But the way that quarterbacks play nowadays, getting the ball out quicker, receivers being quicker. Teams have some speed guys now, more speed guys than they have had in the past. So the ball does have to come out quicker, and timing and spot throwing and all that. The offensive line really doesn't have the job that they did back in the day, right? They didn't have to hold their guy for, not hold them, but actually block their guy for more than 3 seconds. They had to block their guy for more than 3 seconds and 4 seconds, right? Just the football has changed over the years. It has evolved. So I want to talk about the O-line and get some feedback on what you guys feel, and we'll go over those rankings. I think that should be interesting as well. Again, thanks guys for joining me today. Let me see if I can find what I need to find so we can close it out real quick here, guys. There we go. All right, guys. So thanks for joining me again. Don't forget hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and you like the content. Oh, I wanted to make mention also, guys. Don't forget, we do have super chat on here if you feel inclined to donate to the channel or the Fins Talk Sports Network. It would greatly be appreciated, but you don't have to do that. I mean, that just if you feel like you want to donate, you like the content or whatnot. So we would definitely appreciate that here at the Fins Talk Sports Network. Again, guys, thanks again. Have a great day, and God bless.
Miami Dolphin fan, let me ask you something. You love the Dolphins? Do you think they are the greatest football team